Section 5.5 is dividing fractions. Our learning target here is to be able to say, I can divide fractions. Two non-zero numbers whose product is 1 are called reciprocals. So the pair of numbers below are examples of reciprocals. 5 and 1/5, 2 sevenths and 7 halves, negative 5/8 and negative 8/5. And we have decimals there as well, 0.1 and 10. So to make a reciprocal, once we have them written as a fraction, we take the top to the bottom, and the bottom to the top. We flip. So a lot of times you'll hear these called reciprocals because we flip them. Bottom goes to top, top goes to bottom. Here, 5 is the same as 5 over 1, so it's 1/5. 0.1 is the same as 1/10, so its reciprocal is 10 over 1. And then it keeps a sign. So they're either both positive or both negative because that's how we get them to equal 1. So we use reciprocals to divide fractions. To divide any non-zero number, we multiply by its reciprocal. So instead of dividing, we flip and multiply. So we take the reciprocal and then multiply. And with fractions, again, that's straight across. So dividing a fraction by a fraction, we flip the second fraction, we multiply by its reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 4 over 7 is 7 over 4. So again, I change from dividing to multiplying and flip my second fraction. Now, we multiply straight across. So negative 2 over 7. And again, once we get to multiplying, it's the same as it was in section 5.4. So we multiply straight across, top times top, bottom times bottom. Here I'm going to reduce if I can. Between 2 and 4, I have a common factor of 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So what I have here is negative 1 times 7 over 5 times 2, which simplifies to negative 7 over 10. So negative 7/10 is what I get if I take negative 2/5 and divide it by 4/7. In example 2, we're dividing mixed numbers. So again, very similar to what we've been doing with mixed numbers in that we're going to switch them to improper fractions first. So 6 times 4 plus 1 gives me 25 over 6, divided by 3 times 1 plus 2, 5/3, and that one is negative. Now, to divide fractions, we change it to multiplying by the reciprocal. So we take the reciprocal of our second fraction, which gives me negative 3/5. And the 25 over 6 just comes down. I don't change my first value at all, because that's the value that we're trying to divide. So it's the same number to start with because that's what we're trying to change into different pieces by dividing. So we flip and multiply the second. With fractions, we multiply straight across, which gives me 25 times negative 3 over 6 times 5. And then we reduce if we can. So between 25 and 5, I have a common factor of 5. 25 divided by 5 is 1. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 25 divided by 5 is 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. Between 3 and 6, I have a common factor as well. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So now I can multiply straight across. 5 times negative 1 over 2 times 1. In my simplified formats there, gives me negative 5 over 2. Since 5 is greater than 2, we divide. 2 goes into 5 twice, which is 4. Remainder 1. So my answer here then is going to be negative 2 and remainder over denominator 1/2. In example 3, we're going to divide whole numbers and mixed numbers. So here we're going to write both of these as improper fractions. So 12 is the same as 12 over 1 divided by 8 times 1 plus 5. 13 over 8. Now, we're going to change from dividing to multiplying and we take the reciprocal of what follows. So instead of 13 over 8, it becomes 8 over 13. And my 12 didn't change, it's still just 12 over 1. We can multiply straight across now that we have multiplication. It's exactly like it was in section 5.4. In my numerator here, I'm going to get 96. In my denominator, 13. 96 is bigger, so we're going to go ahead and divide. 13 goes into 96 7 times, which is 91, and we get a remainder of 5. So my answer then is going to be 7 and 5 over 13. Remainder over denominator. Here, we're going to find the quotient, which means we are going to divide. So number 1, I have 7 twelfths divided by 2/3. My 7 twelfths stays. When we divide fractions, we change to multiplying by the reciprocal. So instead of 2/3, I have 3 halves. When we multiply fractions, we multiply straight across. So I get 7 times 3 over 12 times 2. We reduce if we can. So here I have common factors of 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 12 divided by 3 is 4. This gives me 7 times 1 over 4 times 2. And I can multiply, which gives me 7 over 8. I cannot reduce it any further, and 7 is smaller than 8, so I leave it, and I don't have to worry about switching it to a mixed number, because there is no mixed number here. In 2, I have negative 4/9. Divided means I'm going to change to multiply by the reciprocal. It's still going to be negative. It's going to be 11 over 8. Fractions we multiply straight across. It's going to give you negative 4 times negative 11 over 9 times 8. Reduce if we can. So here, 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. And we can simplify. So I have negative 1 times negative 11 over 9 times 2. In my numerator, 2 negatives when I multiply together give me a positive over 18. So I get 11 over 18 here. In 3, I have 3/8 divided by 9 and 1/6. So the first thing I'm going to do is rewrite this as an improper fraction. 6 times 9 plus 1 is 55 over 6. Now, I'm going to go ahead and divide. And remember, when we divide fractions, we flip the second one and change it to multiplication. So I'm actually going to be multiplying by 6 over 55. Here, I get 3 times 6 over 8 times 55. Check for common factors. 6 and 8 are both even, which means I can take a 2 out. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Here, I get 3 times 3 over 4 times 55, which is going to give me 9 over 220. And since 9 is smaller, we leave it just like that. In 4, I'm going to switch both of these mixed numbers to improper fractions. 4 times 5 plus 1 gives me 21 over 4. And make sure you remember to write that that's negative. Divided by 5 times 2 plus 2. 12 over 5. Now, when we divide fractions, I keep my first number. I change to multiplication by the reciprocal, which gives me 5 over 12. Now, multiplying fractions, we multiply straight across, which gives me negative 21 over times 5 over 4 times 12. And we want to try and reduce if we can. Here, 21 and 12 are both divisible by 3. So 21 divided by 3 is 7, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. We can go ahead and rewrite this. Negative 7 times 5 over 4 times 4, and multiply. Gives me negative 35 over 16. Now 35 is greater than 16, so we divide. 16 goes into 35 twice, which is 32. We subtract and get a remainder of 3. So my answer then is going to be negative 2 and 3 over 16. In example 3, we want to join strips of wood that are 15 inches long and 1 5/8 inches wide to make a cutting board that is at least 12 inches wide. How many strips are needed? So here we're just talking about the widths, so we don't care about that 15 inches. That just tells us how long it is. That doesn't impact our strips, how many of them we need. So here, I want to take 12 inches and divide it into 1 5/8 inch strips to figure out how many I need. If I have this many times, whatever amount we're looking for gives us 12. So we divide. I'm going to go ahead and write these as improper fractions. 8 times 1 plus 5 gives me 13 over 8. I change from division to multiplying by the reciprocal. 8 over 13. Here, nothing reduces, so we can multiply across. This is going to give me 96 over 13. 96 is bigger, so we divide. Goes in there 7 times, with a remainder of 5/13. So here it says it has to be at least 12 inches wide, which means we need an extra 5/13 of a strip. So we're not going to do 5/13 of a strip. We're just going to add an extra strip, and it's going to give us 8 strips are needed. And then it's going to be a little bit more than 12 inches, but that's fine. We want it to be at least 12 inches, so we round that up to another strip because we need more than just 7, so we're going to give it 8 strips. And that's all I have for section 5.5.